Welcome into Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joye Lee-McNelis. The Lady Eagles have put the regular season in the rearview mirror, and they turn their attention on the Conference USA tournament. And we'll also honor a legend in this show. We'll talk to Shirley Hill, who will join us in our next segment. We're joined by Southern Miss head coach Joye Lee-McNelis. And Joye, it was a two-game homestand where the Lady Eagles were looking to gain some momentum here in the homestand. Not to say they lost any momentum, but they couldn't pick up a pair of W's. It was a slow start against Western Kentucky, and then against Marshall, it was a ball game, fast start, and then in the fourth quarter, we can only make 1 of 12 shots down the stretch. But again, it was an interesting week to say the least, and not to say the Lady Eagles lost any momentum, but couldn't make some steps forward that they were looking for.
You know, Josh, I will tell you, going into the Western Kentucky game, when you really look at that, I mean, they're one of the elite teams in the league. They return, you know, some very special players, and Kendall Noble, who has a shot of being Player of the Year in Conference USA, and Tasia Brown, that was a super sophomore and had an unbelievable freshman year. And then they've added a solid core group of people that have really made a difference. And, you know, very early in the season, Western Kentucky beat Louisville, that's ranked in the top 15 in the country. They've had a lot of great wins over top opponents. So you get Western Kentucky on our home floor. And, you know, the thing that our coaches thought is we've got to get off to a good start, and we've got to keep the game close, because then if we can keep it close, we believe we can win at home. We didn't get off to a very fast start at all. The greatest thing about it was the second quarter in that game when Brittany Dinkins totally took over, and it was truly her show in the second quarter. And we were able to keep the game close, Josh. We just could not finish. We could not finish. Details again hurt us. 4-0 boards off of free throws in the final 2 minutes really hurt us. Turnover hurt us in crunch time. And so those 5 possessions right there, Josh, are possessions that truly broke our back. Not throwing in the missed free throws that we had under the 2-minute mark. But again, I'm a true believer in that, you know, defense, keeping people off the offensive glass, taking care of the basketball and making free throws in crunch time, it gives you opportunities to win. We did not do that in the final 2:23 of that ball game.
Have you ever seen a player take over a stretch of the ball game like Brittany Dinkins defensively?
You know, the only player that I think in my time here at Southern Miss was Durante Clemens last year against TCU, and she did it defensively and offensively, kind of a very similar way to Brittany Dinkins. But Brittany Dinkins took it upon herself to try to will our way back into that ball game, because truly, Josh, we were dead in the water until Brittany Dinkins stepped up and put on a show for us.
And then the Marshall Thundering Herd, to get out to the great start. Yes. You have a 9-point lead early, 8-point lead early. You're up at the half. And then when Marshall made the surge out of the locker room, the Lady Eagles got it close, but just went ice cold in the fourth quarter.
You know, we couldn't buy a bucket. I mean, we shot 14% in the fourth quarter, and you're not going to win ball games. You know, your defense can only do so much. Your offense has got to carry some of the load, and we couldn't. I mean, when you go 1 of 12, you're not going to win many ball games in the last quarter, and that's exactly what we did. And it's not like the Western Kentucky game that you have another quarter to redeem yourself like we did, because we started off that poorly against Western Kentucky, but we had 3 more quarters to redeem ourselves. In the Marshall game, it was the last quarter. The first 3 quarters, you know, we played pretty good basketball. We really did. But that fourth quarter, when you can't buy a bucket, it's just very difficult to be able. And again, the mentality of our team, Josh, and we've talked about it all year, when they get down in the pit, when they get down, it's hard for them to make a comeback. And truly, offense motivates this team, really does. And when players that normally make shots for us miss shots, it just deflates us. And that's what happened in the Marshall game. And, you know, both of those teams, Josh, are very good basketball teams. Marshall, Matt Daniel has done a phenomenal job of digging that team out of the pit. I mean, they were at the very bottom of our league. And, you know, it's taken him time, but he's built it right. And with Leah Scott and Nordstrom, as I call her, you know, Victram Nordstrom is just a great player. And those 2 players alone have been in his program for a very long time. And then they throw in shooters with them. Holy smoke, Shayna Gore can shoot it from anywhere. So they have a tremendous balance. And then they had a young lady, Evans, that really stepped up and hit 3 balls against us early, really made that comeback for them after we got that big lead. I think she hit 4 threes in the game. And again, we just continued to put pressure on our defense and just could not score on the offensive end. And going 1 for 12, Josh, you're not going to win many ball games.
And that's been the theme. Matt Daniel was able to put together a similar game plan to a lot of teams. What the Lady Eagles knows coming, the 2-3 zone, what they've struggled with, and it's something that's not it's not rocket science of how to break it down. But the Lady Eagles struggled. What part of breaking that zone down are we missing right now? Because from the sidelines, we're just feeling like that mid-range jumper, that soft spot in the middle of that 2-3 is what we couldn't exploit.
And we got shot after shot. And in that belly of that zone, we just couldn't make it. LaShira Cotton and Jayla King got shot after shot. Caitlin Jenkins hit a couple of shots there. And I agree with you, but I think you got to attack a zone from the perimeter. We did not. We just rotated the ball around and looked for our action with our post. You can't. Guards have got to step up and hit shots. You've got to attack, break down the zone. And I think late in that game versus Marshall, we became very stagnant offensively and did not attack gaps at all. We just settled for the long 3 ball or the shot inside, and Marshall did a great job of doubling every time there was a catch inside. We just didn't take advantage of attacking, playing the zone with an attack mentality. A zone usually makes you very complacent, and that's exactly what it did to us. So, again, we'll prepare for the conference tournament because we'll know we'll see it again. We did a great job when we played at We struggled with it at UTSA. We came back home, did a tremendous job against UTSA, and kind of had the mentality of bring the 2-3 zone on. We're ready. Haven't seen a lot of it since then. And then Marshall in that second half really goes to it, and the Lady Eagles just couldn't hit shots.
And then in closing, we're hoping the Lady Eagles will get that surge of energy of a fresh season that we'll talk about in the last segment, because you can see their confidence rattled. As you talked about the ball being passed around the perimeter, everybody was wanting somebody to step up and hit a shot late. Shoot the ball.
We're passing the ball, and it's like, shoot the ball, And, Brittany Dinkins and Brittany Norris are rhythm shooters, and they have to catch it in rhythm to be able to shoot it. And there were so many times they caught it, and they were open, and they were so hesitant. And when you're hesitant, you're not going to make those shots. But, yeah, we got to refocus, regroup, and be ready for the conference tournament because, Josh, nothing matters at this point. Everybody's record 0-0. There's always Cinderella teams. There's always teams that make noise that's not expected to make noise. And so, again, I think that's the greatest thing that we can look forward to of going into this is the conference tournament being a 0-0 record.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Shirley Hill, the legendary Lady Eagle, who has been a player, a coach, our sports information director for so many years. We had a chance to honor her over the weekend, so we'll talk to her, get her thoughts on the next chapter, what that's going to be, how excited she is to see the Lady Eagles in the conference tournament. And then the last segment, Coach will be back. We'll talk about the Conference USA tournament. We'll preview what will be a challenging road to a championship. Teams like UTEP, UAB, potentially Charlotte, on the horizon for the Southern Miss Lady Eagles. We'll take a break. You're watching Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joye Lee-McNelis.
Don't miss basketball at its best. Visit conferenceusa.com for more information on the Conference Basketball Championship and to get your tickets today.
Welcome back to Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joye Lee-McNelis. We are joined by the Lady Eagle legend. We're joined by Shirley Hill, who is finally going to say, I'm going to do something else here for Southern Miss Lady Eagles. And she put it in great perspective for me. Kobe Bryant, Peyton Manning, Shirley Hill. I mean, you can tell what the trio has in common. Legendary, right, Cheryl?
That is correct.
And for the Lady Eagles, we personally don't know what we're going to do without her. Which begs the question, what are you going to do here with all this free time on your hands?
Well, I'm going to get through this year, this academic year. The last thing that I have committed to is the baseball tournament that we're going to host for Conference USA. After that, it's just anybody's guess. I have no plans, so the plan is to do nothing for at least 2 months.
I think that is a fantastic plan. Now, that was not the case this past weekend. We had a chance to partner up and go to Pensacola, watch some great baseball. Lady Eagles had a tough homestand, competed very well. It was the great finish against Western Kentucky, the great start against Marshall. It was a fun weekend, and you're doing a lot of this right now. You're trying to get out to as many events as possible, see as many athletes, as many of your coaches as possible, and really soak it in here down the stretch.
This past week was pretty wild. Like I said, we had basketball, and then with Jack being out of town with men's basketball, I jump in there and we go to Pensacola for baseball, and we see a great game against Michigan State, which we won. And then we come back, and then Saturday we have the game against Marshall. And then Sunday we're back on the road again, going back to Pensacola to watch them play Auburn. And it turned out to be a great game. We won. And then even on Friday we had a women's tennis match. And then on Saturday we had a women's tennis match that I had a chance to go out there and take a peek at and make sure everything was going okay. So yeah, and our men's tennis team, even though they were on the road, they went to the finals of the HEB Tournament of Champions. So it was a good weekend for Gold Wing Athletics.
It was a very good weekend. And of course, the highlight of the weekend for everybody here in Hattiesburg was Shirley Hill Day, your very own day, which for me means that now I have a life goal. I would like to have a day at some point named after me. You had yours. It was fantastic. The entire family almost was here for Shirley Hill. That was a neat experience. I was just snapping pictures as fast as I could. What was it like being in that, in probably a moment where it felt like somebody hit the fast forward button?
Well, it was really. At some point you go, wow, it's really coming to an end. And I'm just so blessed to be able to have my family there and a lot of friends. Even my college roommate, Diana, was there, so we got to visit. And everybody kept asking me, well, what are you going to do? And I kept telling them, I'm not going to do anything. So my family kept saying, oh, no, she's going to end up, back here doing some work. No, I have not committed to anybody yet. So it was very special, and I felt very honored to be in that position. Southern Miss has been good to me. I mean, it was where I got my start, and this is the only job I've ever had. I grew up as an adult here, so special memories, family. That's the two things that I can take away from this: special memories and family.
And you've got so many memories, but there's always one or two that pop to the top of mind. What are those that you frequently share with people?
Wow. 1994 women's basketball, we go to the Sweet 16. That's a biggie. Well, with some of the other sports, it would be the track and field team in New Orleans winning both men's and women's track and field championships. Just even like the past couple of years of playing in the finals, back-to-back finals in Conference USA, women's basketball tournament. There's so many things that I remember. The baseball team, going to the College World Series, women's softball going to the College World Series. All that happened when I was here. So a lot of good things I've had a chance to witness.
All right, so we're going to have to be we'll have to be tracking Shirley and following her here down the stretch. One of the things that's on the bucket list here down the stretch for this year is the Conference USA tournament coming up. And as we've talked, you just got a feeling, and I've got the same feeling, the Lady Eagles have an expectation to get to the championship game, to win 20 wins, to do things that people don't expect. We feel like this could be another week where the Lady Eagles go over and make some noise.
Yes, I actually feel that way. You asked me the other day, how do I feel about us going into the conference tournament? I said, I thought we would win at least the first two games. And you said, well, one's against UAB, the home team. I said, not a problem. I think we'll win that. The other one is, well, we'll have to face the top seed, UTEP. I said, I think we're capable of beating that team. So that's how I felt. And you asked me, are you just saying that, or do you have a gut feeling? I said, gut feeling. It's a good feeling.
and I can't disagree. I told her, I said, I can't disagree, but sometimes I'm the eternal optimist, and so we're getting the gut reactions here. We're excited about the tournament coming up in Birmingham this week. Shirley, thank you so much for sitting down, joining us. I'm so glad that your day was so special, and thanks to everybody who had a part in making that special. And we look forward to seeing. We know you're going to be around, but we look forward to you having a lot more free time on your hands.
Yes, I will. I want to spend some time with my children, my daughters, hang out with my husband, Moses. You know, he does this officiating thing, so I can go sit outside the fence and heckle him as I would any umpire. But I just want to say thank you to the Southern Miss family for being here and honoring me on Saturday. It was one of the most special moments of my entire life, and it's something I'll never forget.
And here in closing, I'm just proud of me too for not getting on my knees and groveling and begging her back at this moment, because we don't know, again, truly don't know what we're going to do without you. Shirley, we love you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
That's Shirley Hill. We're going to take a break, come back and wrap up the show with Southern Miss head coach Joye Lee-McNelis right after this here on the Southern Miss IMG Sports Network.
Southern Miss fans, show your pride with real Golden Eagles gear from the official online store, shop.southernmiss.com. You'll find everything a Golden Eagles fan needs, from jerseys to sideline gear, polos, t-shirts, hats, and more. With an awesome selection of Golden Eagles products, including official team merchandise from Russell, when it comes to Golden Eagles pride, there's only one place real Southern Miss fans go: shop.southernmiss.com.
Thank you so much for this prestigious award. I would like to thank my friends and family.
Hey, it's time for your homework.
Coming, Mama. As I'm saying, I would also like to thank my educators for all they've done with me. Without them, I couldn't do anything.
And the winner of the first place award for small cities is Hattiesburg, Mississippi, for the Education Initiative.
What are you doing back there, Haley?
Feeling like a winner.
As we put the wraps on this edition of Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joye Lee-McNelis, it's time to talk Conference USA tournament. And Joy, we were talking during the break about the road here, and you know, as broadcasters, as fans, we're looking at the bracket, and you know, coaches, you're looking at just the first team. It's UAB on their home floor at the Bartow Arena, then potentially a UTEP, a Charlotte, a Middle Western, all of those teams, but Lady Eagles, UAB, on their home floor, a team the Lady Eagles felt like had a chance to win that ball game in a 4-point loss earlier this year.
You know, Josh, the UAB game at UAB was a solid game. We played without Tajane Vega being out with her concussion, and we played poorly. I mean, it was an ugly basketball game. I thought we both were going to set basketball way back just in the scoring column, as both teams really struggled to score. But I think, Josh, we have to look at it realistically too, is that anytime you play the home team on their home court in a do or die situation, it makes it very difficult. But you know what? Doesn't matter. Everybody has the opportunity to tip it off, to cut down nets the same way. And our first tall task will be UAB. They have Brittany Winborn that can really play and is very, very talented. That's a senior for them. Chelsea Black, which is the heart and soul of UAB basketball, is a senior that is very, very good. And then they have a freshman. And both of those players made postseason all-conference, Black and Winsborn. And then you've got Coos, that is a player that can flat out shoot the basketball, made the all-freshman team. And then you've got, you know, Kayla, that also is their forward player that stepped up and hit some big shots against us in crunch time. And they just have a host of other players that fill their roles. And I think the biggest challenge for the Lady Eagles is to go hard and work closely to defend Chelsea Black and Winsborn, because it's their final game and their first game of the conference championship. And we want it to be their final game, but it's going to be a real challenge, because I'm telling you, those two young ladies have truly worked tirelessly to build UAB basketball. So it'll be a real challenge for the Lady Eagles. But I will tell you, Josh, the Lady Eagles will be up for the challenge. Without trials, there's not opportunities. Without trials, there's not a testimony. And so I think that we face a big challenge, a tall challenge, in playing UAB on their home court. But I'll say this, the Lady Eagles will be prepared, because our coaching staff will be prepared, and we will put them in every position to be successful. The key is the details. Boxing out and rebounding, taking care of the ball, and making free throws. We do those three things, anything can happen for the Lady Eagles.
And for the Lady Eagles to play UAB on their home floor, there's not, maybe about half the teams in the league can say that. And for Southern Miss, a team that's going to be the youngest team in terms of experience in this tournament, you look at Dinkins and Cotton. Shirley Hill gave me a great stat. The two have combined for 11 games of experience in this tournament, and that's the entire team's experience.
You know, we're just not very experienced, Josh, and it's, you know, after losing Durante Clemens, we've just yet to find that perimeter player that you can stick the ball in their hand and say, go score for us. Go get a basket. Go create for yourself. Go create. We don't have that. To be very honest with you, we don't. And no one has really fulfilled that role. And, you know, that's really hurt us. It really has. And probably more than what most people think because of the intangibles that she brings as far as energy, or that she brought to our team for as energy. So, again, somebody's really got to step up and be able to bring that to us. You know, Caitlin Jenkins has done a solid job inside. You know, our team has done a very good job of getting her the basketball. But you got to have a perimeter player. Brittany Dinkins is a prime candidate. She did it in the second quarter versus Western Kentucky. So she don't need to leave anything left in her pocket. She needs to pull out everything against UAB to be able to play. But yes, we are the most inexperienced team. And obviously, that's one of the reasons we struggle. You know, I always make a comparison to us and UTEP. UTEP struggled last year, you know, when they were very young. They didn't have Kamisha Turner. They didn't have Giselle Nash last year with them. And it was a real challenge for them. They had some players that had to fulfill some roles that they were uncomfortable doing. This year, that's been our story, is we've had to have some players to fulfill some roles that they were expected to help us with, but not totally take control of. And, you know, that's been a real challenge for us all year.
And then in closing, does I know it's great for the fans to be in Birmingham. Can the Lady Eagles draw on anything at all from last year's tournament? Is that a selling point to the team? How do you take that?
Well, I think you talk about the expectation, and we're expected to be in the championship game because that's what it's become. That's the expectation. It's the expectation to win 20 wins, but we haven't done that at this point. So I think they all understand the expectation. But I truly believe, Josh, with expectation becomes responsibility and accountability. And, you know, that's the big thing. I mean, we look at the conference tournament, Josh, as a business trip. We have a purpose for this business trip. We have a plan for this business trip. And we have a strategy to carry out the plan. And that's what we will do. But I will tell you this, it will focus on accountability. It will focus on responsibility and the big three details: turnovers, boxing out, making free throws.
Well, Coach, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for the preview of this year's Conference USA tournament in Birmingham. And congratulations goes out to Caitlin Jenkins, named all-freshman team, named defensive team, and also named second team All-Conference USA. So that puts the wrap on this edition of Southern Miss Sports Today with head coach Joye Lee-McNelis. We'll see you next week.
Don't miss basketball at its best. Visit conferenceusa.com for more information on the Conference Basketball Championship and to get your tickets today.